Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
It's me, Jeff. I just beamed up to the Jeff Trek Prize. Anyway, it's good to be back here on Jeff Trek, and today we have a very, very special guest joining us. And I've been wanting to talk to this guy for months, actually for a couple of years, ever since I started Jeff TV, which we'll get to later. But this is Jeff Trek. And I do have a lock on his coordinates, and I'm going to beam him up right now. So, before I even do that, I want to beam up my super-duper awesome, charming co-host, Mr. Goodnight. Hold on, let me beam him in here. And hold on, here we go.
No, just keep those kind of accolades coming, Big Daddy.
Good to see you, man. Good to hear from you. Welcome, Big Daddy. How are you today?
I'm good, man of the hour, top out, too sweet to be sour. And here right now on the Jeff Prize Trek Prize Enterprise.
All right, listen, we have the coordinates for our latest guest, and he's a big one. His name is Manu Intiraymi, and he played Icheb on Star Trek Voyager. He was in a great big movie recently that I really enjoyed called Fortress, and so much more. Let's just get a lock on him on our computer here. Hold on 1 second. We got to beam this guy aboard. We got to beam him aboard. Yeah, let's beam him aboard.
What the heck, Jeff? I'm backwards. My butt's facing forwards.
That's how Mr. Goodnight flies.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem they have with transporter. You should get that looked into.
Your transporter's all messed up, man. I knew I should have done so.
That's because I cross-circuited to B. I should have cross-circuited to C. I got to learn something from Scotty.
Yeah.
Engineering has really hit the skids around here.
Yeah. Hit it again. It's uncomfortable sitting on the other side.
Oh, yeah, all right. Wait, well, so Manu, where are you calling from?
Los Angeles, California.
Yay,
Hollywood,
that's great. Mr. Goodnight's from L.A.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and hoping to get back out there again soon. I love it out there.
Yeah. Mr. Goodnight. That sounds like a championship boxer. That would be a great name for a boxer.
That's true. I should get into boxing, but I think at this point I'm a little bit, being in my late 20s by this point, I'm a little bit past my prime. But I could probably go for it, heavyweight class or something like that.
Well, just the name should carry you for a couple of fights.
That's true. That's true. Imagine the bias. I got to get to Don King or whoever's promoting these days.
There's only 3 of them. There's like a monopoly. It's Don King and a couple other guys.
Yeah. The heavyweight class ain't what it used to be. So maybe I could bring something back into that. Maybe I could rejuvenate heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, take on Klitschko, man. Do it.
Yeah, I think I found a whole new vocation. I'm gonna have to start training after the show.
Kismet.
True, fated it is.
Wow. So Manu, while we're talking about stand-up comedians, I hear through a little birdie that you've tried your hand at stand-up comedy. How's that going for you?
What little birdie told you that sort of thing?
The great bird of the galaxy, maybe.
You know what? I have, around the last 10 years or so when I go to the conventions, I'm always on stage doing a little stand-up, making people laugh. But as far as throwing my hat in the regular ring in L.A., I've always known I could do that and can do that, but I'm not a huge fan of comedy, even though I'm, decent at it. So no, I've never actually gone that route. That's like my backup plan, If I don't make it in movies and television, then I'll go do stand up for a few years and make it that way. But at the moment, no.
No, I can't recommend that one. The money's much better in the movies and TV. Much better.
Yeah. But I mean, there's nothing to it, man. Write a few jokes, get up on stage. I can do it.
Yeah, I know you could. I knew you could. I've got so many awesome questions for you. I mean, this is not going to be a boring episode. And I was surprised as I was looking up some of your projects. There was a project that I'm really interested in that I want to get right to as long as we started talking about comedy, because this is kind of funny, or it has a lot of funny potential. You've been doing, I think you did a dark comedy called Ben Troubles. Is that it?
Yeah, that is it. At the moment, the title is Benjamin Troubles. It's a $500,000 dark comedy from Kai Efron, who used to be the right-hand man as far as he was the location manager for all of Christopher Nolan's films, and he's broken off and started directing now. And I got the lead role in that, and then ended up executive producing a couple weeks into the shoot too, putting in some money. And it looks like we've got a good movie. We're trying to squeeze the edit out by the Sundance deadline, which is like the 7th of next month. If we don't make it then it's a couple more months. But it's a movie about a kid with magic blue that finds a pair of magic blue jeans. This down and out kind of graffiti street painter kid that has the worst day of his life, and then gets blessed with a pair of magic blue jeans that create a $100 bill on the hour, every hour in the pocket. And it's sort of a dark comedy, romance, action, guns, gangsters, sort of like a softer version of what's that guy that did Snatch and those type of films? Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Guy Ritchie.
Right.
Sort of a Guy Ritchie type of thing, but with romance and a little softer than his films are.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's definitely genre bending, but I'm pretty excited about it. You know, I do a lot of indie films, and about 1 out of 4 of them have any potential, and this one looks pretty good.
It does look really good, and I want to talk about this. I know that my executive officer, Mr. Goodnight, he's got a secret Starfleet mission he's got to get to fairly soon, but hopefully he can hang with us. And I wanted to get this in before he went, because I know he'd love just the idea of this story. I guess some homeless guy gives Ben a pair of magic jeans, and I have a lot of questions. Did the homeless guy actually know that they had magic?
Well, I think that part of the movie is going to be really kind of up in the air, who this guy is, where he came from, if he's even human, if he's a spirit, if he's just a homeless guy. There's this sort of a supernatural, weird sort of an element going on that people at the end of the movie are going to have to figure it out.
Magic man. The set knocking up, if you will.
When he gives the jeans to Ben, he says, "Don't let these do to me what they did to me," and then he kind of disappears into the ether. So, it's a movie about whether money brings you happiness, and it's also kind of like a Coen Brothers movie. I play the main character, Ben, and Ben is usually he's just kind of a laid-back kid, sort of normal. But pretty much every character he runs into in the film is a complete whack job. You know, like how the Coen Brothers like to do that quite a bit. Where they've got like all the supporting cast are completely strange. Wow. I don't know. I think it's going to be a funny film.
I'm really looking.
We're going to watch out for this thing.
Yeah, Mr. Goodnight. I am really looking forward to this, and I'm sure you could tell Manu here all about the magic in your pants, but we won't get into that.
Well, my pants are always magic. Seriously. Every pair of jeans I wear, whether I get them for $5 at the Goodwill, they're $100 jeans when I'm wearing them. My dungarees.
Well. Anyway, I have a couple questions more about this particular production. Manu, if you actually were Ben and you had a chance as Manu, actually, who you are right now.
Way, sir.
Oh, is it Manu? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
You say Manu, I say Manu. You say tomato. It's one of those kind of things.
It's a weird name. I respond to anything relatively close.
All right. Well, this is what I'm going to do for myself for mispronouncing your name. Hold on a second. All right. Well, Manu.
You can't talk after that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I go to continue the show if that thing was on stun.
Yeah, I'm pretty strong, though. I've got, like, these personal force fields, so there's only, 75%,
You've got your own shield.
Damage.
Is that what you're saying? You've got your own shield, your own personal shield.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
Yes. And when,
You're behind the times, man. Go get one. It's like the iPhone 4. Come on. Get your personal shield.
I've yet to download the Shield app, I guess.
Yeah, come on. Working!
So, anyway, before we get off on a tangent, because I'm not sure exactly how much time you have, Manu, but I really got to ask you a couple things. If you had the opportunity to have these magic pants, would you have fallen down that same road, or do you think you would have gotten in bigger trouble, or do you think you would have invested wisely? Would you have waited? Would you have, or just spent every $100 as it came in? How would you have dealt with that?
Here's the rules about the magic pants are, the rules come in the pocket, and the rules are you can't remove them. It says do not repair and do not remove. So in order to keep getting that $100 bill every hour, you can't take the pants off and you can't repair them. So if you ripped your crotch, you'd basically have to go freeballing for life,
Well, it'd make it easy to go to the bathroom, though, because if you can't remove them, that's going to be some nasty pants.
Well, there's some technicalities there, right? So what does remove really mean? Does it mean, one leg off at a time is okay, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. So if I had a pair of magic pants, would I get myself in trouble? Back in my early 20s, yeah, I would have partied. Now, no, I do the right thing with the money.
Wow, that's a great answer. Oh, my gosh. Because that gets my mind going, because I would get myself in all kinds of deep doo-doo, and I would not be taking that off. Hey, we have another caller. Let's beam this caller in, too. Hold on a second.
All right.
I think he shot the guy.
Call it, dude.
Yeah, Damien, that's really nice, You get a call and you're blasting with a photon torpedo. I mean, what sort of show is it?
I pressed the wrong button, man.
Real nice guy to your guest.
Yeah, try not to kill the guests this week, Jeff.
Hey, well, we have the pleasure of welcoming a very, very special guest. He's always a special guest. He's the leader of SciFiPulse, and we are talking with Ian Cullen. How are you, Ian?
I'm good. How are you guys? And hello, is it Manu?
Yeah, that's me. I'm awful, man. This is just the worst day ever. This is so boring. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I've got the name right. It's Manu.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking of the Muppets, Manu. Manu.
No, come on. That's that's not Manu.
Yeah, was there more?
It's interchangeable.
Manu. That was more from Mork, wasn't it?
It's Manamana. Yeah, Mork and Mindy did Manu Nanu, I think, right?
Yeah,
Manu. Manu.
Hey, you say Manu, I say Manu.
Jeff, you should really get yourself a red jumpsuit like Mork had. You'd look slamming in it.
Yeah. What was that question you asked about magic pants before, Jeff?
Well, I'll let Manu answer that. It's about a production he's doing called Ben Troubles. Is it Benjamin Troubles or just Ben Troubles?
Well, right now it's called Benjamin Troubles, but that's the tentative title, and we're thinking of changing it to Ben Troubles just because it's easier. It's the whole play on words with Benjamin Troubles. The kid's name's Benjamin. He gets $100 bills. It causes his life to go to the. You know what I mean? I think it's too smart for people because my super intelligent girlfriend didn't even get it. So I think we're just going to go with Ben Trouble.
That's great. Okay, well, that is awesome. I am real. Yep.
But it's a movie about magic pants, and he was asking me, they're magic pants, and they create a $100 bill on the hour every hour. that this kid gets. And Jeff asked me what I would do in real life if that happened to me, whether I'd go down a bad path and party and blow the money, or what I'd do with it. That was the question.
Oh, cool. Well, if I had magic pants, 7 of 9 would become 7 of mine.
I don't know if you get it that cheap. They only make $2,400 a day. I mean, she's worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you have to keep the pants on for a while.
Yeah, you know, they'd have to stay on for weeks, you know, and then I'd have stinky underwear.
Yeah, that's the rules. That's the rules.
But that's how you suffer for money. Or you could just go commando style, regimental, if you will.
Well, that's what I'd do.
Problem.
I'd go commando, and I'd take one leg off at a time and sort of wash the area, and just kind of keep clean that way.
You really thought this out. But isn't washing technically repairing?
No, washing my body with one leg out at a time, to stay clean.
Oh, okay.
Not washing the pants. And is washing technically repairing? Oh yeah, I thought this out. I'm a method actor, man. When I go into it, I got to look at every angle.
Yeah, I mean, if you sort of take one leg out, and that, if you've been wearing that long, they're going to be standing up on their own. You could probably take them off and just jump right back into them. They'd probably just stay standing.
Wow, that's a good one though too. Is washing technically repairing? That's maybe not if you jumped in water, because then you're swimming. You're not technically washing, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting really technical nowadays.
Yeah.
It sounds like God or the angel or someone in charge of these magic pants needs to create a rule book or some kind of cheat sheet books for these pants. Like, it sounds like the greatest American hero here. He put on the super suit and he has no idea how to use it.
Yeah, that's where part of the comedy comes from, because the pocket just comes with those two notes: do not repair, do not remove. So he's got to figure out the rest of it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We have another caller calling in. Wow, it's all chicken scratches here. I have no idea. Let's beam this guy in too. Don't think I know who he is.
Try not to shoot him
hold on.
this time.
I'm just gonna beam him in. Hold up.
What's he look like?
Hi, Jeff. Manu, can you hear me?
Hey, how are you? Hey, we've got Manu, we've got Manu. I can.
How you guys doing? I'm Corey from Reno, Nevada. I'm in your chat room right now, too. I didn't know if you guys were seeing what I was writing or not in there, but...
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah, do you have anything you want to ask Manu?
No, yeah, I did, actually.
It's Manu, you Jeff Trek.
Manu.
Shoot yourself again. Yeah, it's how ironic, with this, like I was saying in the room, my brother-in-law wrote books for the Star Trek book series, and his name's Brad Ferguson, so maybe you're a distant relative.
Oh, maybe. My uncle is very deep into the family trees and helping people discover their roots, and mine go way back past the Mayflower, way back. We're Scottish.
So you discovered your roots on the family tree. That's quite a pun you threw in there, Dad.
Well, as long as you have the roots that counts, But hey, I was going to ask, when you have to do the makeup for these shows, and it's such an expensive production to do that makeup. Sometimes when you have such an early casting call too, the next day, is there anything that they do to keep the makeup on? You guys do a 16, 18-hour day, and you got to be back in 4 or 5 hours. You're not going to take the time to take that all off. Do they have some kind of thing that you can wear over the makeup so you don't have to take it all off, put it all back on, or do you just go through that exhaustive process anyway?
Well, I only did, Icheb's makeup was pretty simple, just that nose and that eyepiece. But when I was Borg, it was definitely, on a hellacious schedule. I'd get in at 4:30 in the morning, usually at 4 o'clock, and then they'd put on the makeup for 3 hours. And if we had a 12-hour day, 14-hour day, they'd take it off and we'd do it all over again and just get not a whole lot of sleep. I never had to wear it overnight, but I had heard stories on set of people that had to. I know Picard had to at one point go home in the Locutus outfit back in the day. And a friend of mine knew his roommate at the time, and I've met him a while back. He didn't tell me the story, so this is secondhand story. But supposedly his roommate came back, and there's Locutus with the whole eyepiece and the red light and everything sitting in the living room. So
that could make for an interesting ride home at a stoplight if you had that all on and people wondering what the heck. But then again, too, in L.A., maybe it wouldn't be so different, for somebody to see that,
Yeah. No, it was well before Bluetooth, though, so you couldn't just say it was that.
I can attest to that. When you'd leave the lot for lunch, you'd have to leave your makeup on. So if you drove anywhere for lunch, it was you got some strange looks. Also, just walking around the Paramount lot, I think the people that worked there got pretty used to aliens walking around everywhere. But if you were visiting the lot, it was a strange sight.
Oh, I bet so. And then to get an itch or something with that stuff, I'm sure it's probably itchy and irritates your face, but having it on for hours and hours at a time. I mean, you should get hazard pay for some of that stuff.
It's a foam rubber latex too, and it rots really quick, so it smells like a moldy towel, like a mildewy towel.
Oh man, that's not good for a date.
No.
So actually,
I know you got other callers and everything. I appreciate the answers. I just got a quick one, maybe give you guys a laugh. My father-in-law, when my brother-in-law Brad, one of his books came out, it was called Crisis on Centaurus, and my father-in-law was really excited, and he went around. He went to the next door neighbor to tell him, and the lady was kind of with a real straight-laced lady and everything, and my father-in-law is saying, my son Brad has a new book that just came out. And she goes, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, it's called Crisis on Clitoris. He totally got it wrong. And he didn't realize that he's saying it wrong. So this lady just looks at him and thought he was this perverted, crazy, senile old man, and storms off in a huff. And he comes back in the house and he's telling her, her name was Mrs. Piga, with a great name, too. And he goes, man, Mrs. Piga got all mad at me when I told her about Brad's new book, and yeah, I don't understand what happened, and we're like, well, what the heck, we didn't know either. Like, why would she get all mad? He goes, I don't know. I told her the name of the book, and she got all mad and stormed off. We said, well, what did you say the book was? And he said it again, still not getting it. I told her it's called Crisis on Clitoris, and we all broke out laughing, and then he finally got it and was like, oh my gosh, and he's all just mortified now. How do you go explain to your neighbor? It'd probably make it worse to try to even apologize and tell her, obviously that was not the title. But anyway, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Hey, I appreciate your time and the answer, and thanks a lot for the good work and everything. I mean, exhausting as all that might be, it still makes for exciting to be in that business, and it's all the better for us to enjoy. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Corey. Well, if you dig it, check out Fortress and look for Benjamin Troubles.
Absolutely.
Also, did you say Brad Ferguson wrote Star Trek books, your brother?
Yeah, my brother-in-law. He wrote a few books for the Star Trek book series a few years ago. He wrote, of course,
Crisis on Clitoris and
he wrote
Invader for Boner Central and what else?
He wrote, I think another one was called Flagship Full of Stars. I should know this stuff. And another one was something had the title World or something, and I can't remember now. But if you look him up, just put in Brad Ferguson author or Brad Ferguson Star Trek or something on Google search, you'll see the stuff that he did. And I think at one point he was like a president of some kind of sci-fi convention or a group or something like that too. But
have any of you guys read any of the Star Trek literature, the books?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Anybody?
Well, not a lot, and I hope my brother-in-law's not listening because I've never even read his books that he wrote. So, but
I want to know which ones. I want to know which ones have Icheb in them because people are saying that's been written. I'd like to know what his story, what happened to him.
Gosh, I don't know. I think probably the last book that Brad did was probably in the late 90s, maybe. Mid to late 90s, so I don't know if that time period would be, and I don't know how that all works with the book series compared to the actual series, TV series. So I don't know, I don't know if they cross-reference each other or if they're completely different stories that have nothing to do with, the actual TV show itself.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
My character would have been in the womb back then.
So yeah, hey, we'll go right back to the title of it with the wrong title then, I guess there.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll take
thanks,
my
guys.
flagship to Clitoris.
Yeah, Crisis on Clitoris. Yeah, look, Brad Ferguson, Crisis on Clitoris. Yeah, he loves that. But hey, thanks you guys, and look that up if you want. He'd get a kick out of it. And hey, thanks for the great work.
You're welcome.
All right, Corey, I'm going to beam you out of here. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
I got to look him up, Brad Ferguson. That's cool. Wow, we've got a lot to do. Mr. Goodnight, how much more time do you have?
I'm here for a few more minutes, Big Data.
Okay, well, hang in there because I have so many questions from the new work. We've got so much to go over. As Corey was trying to point out, do you have any idea what was supposed to have happened to your character when you got back to Earth? Was there any kind of literature that you read on that?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Manu.
Yeah, I'm clueless, man. I haven't read any of the Star Trek books. I know there's going to be some interesting answers with this movie Star Trek Renegades that the people from Star Trek Gods and Men are making probably a year or so from now. And it's going to take place 10 years after Voyager, and Icheb's going to be in it. So we're going to find out something there. But I know that he has made the novels. I just, don't know much more than that. So I was curious.
Walter Koenig sent me his private copy, one of his private copies of the DVD of Gods and Men, and I love that movie. I love how they had all these actors, and Tim Russ. Now, is Tim Russ going to be directing this one or producing this one?
He's going to be in it again. I don't know whether he's going to produce or not, but so far me, Tim, and Walter are attached to a few other actors. You can go to Star Trek Renegades, .com and check it out. We're just getting started, but I'm pretty excited about it. I think it will be
Yeah, I think he's directing and acting in it. I think the producing is actually being done by Sky Conway.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I know a little bit about it because Jack Trevino, who's one of the writers, actually works with Renegade, and he also works on Of Gods and Men. He kind of told me about it a few weeks back, sort of thing. So, before it was actually all released on the internet. So.
Yeah, a lot of folks from that team are involved. It's basically the same folks. So, and the story is going to be darker and. I don't know. I thought Gods and Men was really well done too, especially for the money they had to make that thing. It was pretty genius. Mm-hmm. Oh, Garrett signed on too, so Garrett will be in it too.
Cool. I've got a quick question for you, Manu. It's a non-Star Trek question. I noticed that you was in the movie J. Edgar, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, how did you actually find working on that movie? That's probably like one of the biggest things you've worked on in regards to a movie, I guess.
It was certainly a pleasure to work with Clint Eastwood and DiCaprio. I was only on the film for 2 days, and we filmed 2 scenes, and only one line made the film. But those 2 days were great, man. I mean, working with those guys and meeting them and seeing how they do their crafts, and both of them were some of the most humble, coolest people that I'd met, which is always nice because in Hollywood, a lot of times you meet your icons and they turn out to be douchebags. And Leo and Clint were both very just welcoming, and they immediately put you on their level. Walked right up to you, hey, I'm Leo, what's going on? Let's bang this out today, let's work. Clint Eastwood, even after the end of every take, opens it up to everybody on set, whether you're a gaffer or a grip or anybody. When he finishes his shot, he goes, that's great, I like that. Anybody else have any ideas? And he'll hear out anybody that does. So just an awesome gentleman.
Cool. Yeah, I just thought I'd ask you about that, because I'm not sure if Jeff would have asked you about that one.
Yeah, no, I was getting to that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. there were 4 criminals that got busted, famous criminals. I played Alvin Sharpus, and there was more scenes for each of them. There was a little bit more of a storyline in the original script, but they, when they edited it, they went away from that story and stayed more just on the central story. They didn't want to go off on that tangent, so a lot of that stuff ended up not in the film.
Okay, so were you or were you not, like, in the final version? Because I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the movie. Leo comes around a white horse. I'm walking out of my hotel with my gangster buddy and his girlfriend, and we get into a car. We get surrounded by FBI agents, and Leo pulls me out, and I say, if it isn't Mr. Hoover himself, looks like I'm going to be famous. And he cuffs me, and they drag me away, and that's basically the whole thing.
Was it fun?
It was great, man. Yeah, it was great. It was on the back lot of Warner Brothers. Say again?
No, I'm sorry. There's a slight delay. I apologize if any of us overtalk each other, overlap. There is a slight delay, so sometimes it can be difficult. But with Clint, I mean, how in depth was your interaction with him? Was it, and do you think you'll ever work with him again?
It's possible. It's a funny story. It was like working with your funny uncle. He walked over to me when I first got on set, and I'm wondering, do I call him Mr. Eastwood? What's the protocol? He walks over and looks at me, stares me down and goes, well, if it isn't Manu, blah, blah, blah. Because he couldn't pronounce my last name and didn't care to, and but it was funny, and he winked up your shaft. And he'd cast me off tape, so we hadn't met. But during the whole directing of the scene, he was very hands-on, but it's funny how he does it, He respects his actors after he hires them because he knows he hired good people. So in the beginning of the scene, he walks over to me and Leo, and we're standing in front of the house where the whole bust scene is going to go down. He has the script, and he says to me and Leo, he goes, all right, so you guys are going to come out the door here, and you're going to say, whatever you say, and then Leo will be coming down the street from over here, and he's going to, say whatever he says, and then, the guys are going to swarm in on you, and then you're going to get pulled out of the car, say whatever you want to say, and you guys got it? He just basically says, like, you know what, you've read the script, I trust you, go for it. He allows you to improv. And so I immediately improv'd as much as possible to try to get in the movie as much as possible, And I thought I was in trouble because when the scene was over, he put down his little viewer that he watches the take on, and he did that slow Clint Eastwood cowboy walk over to me with his eyebrow cocked like I was an idiot. And when he got to me, he stared at me for a while, and I just kind of sat there thinking I was in trouble, and he goes, I like that. Let's do that. And so then he covered it and shot it from all the different angles. But really a cool guy to work with. And, one time I was eavesdropping on him and the producer's conversation, and the producer was saying they were over budget and they needed to do this or that. And Clint goes, yeah, well, if Mr. Karpus here wasn't blowing every take, we wouldn't have any problems. So he was just a pleasure and funny and just always ribbing on you and just funny man. Good dude.
As long as you don't flip back his poncho and go for the gun, you're all right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other day I ran into him in the supermarket, and we chatted a little bit. This was just like 5 days ago. So there's a chance I could work with him again. I'm going to keep everything else, play my cards closer to my chest. I hope so.
That's awesome. Wow, that is so cool. You ran into him in the supermarket. That can only happen in L.A., I guess.
Yeah.
Or Carmel. Didn't he live there? Wasn't he the mayor there for a while?
In Carmel?
Yeah, California.
Yeah, he was the mayor of Carmel for some time. I think he lives. He probably lives everywhere. That guy's got a lot of money.
From what I remember, he did that as a favor, I think, to
without even a pair of pants, without even a pair of magic pants, he got all that money.
Right. Yeah, so I hear he did that as like a kind of a favor to his associates or whatever. I think they wanted him to run. They kind of talked him into it because I don't think he's really into politics. But I said the minute that he got in office as mayor, I'm like, oh, this guy's got to run for president. No one's going to mess with him. Ronald Reagan will look like a wimp compared to this guy.
Well, you look at this way, the crime must have went down when he became the mayor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So
I think he'd stand a good chance if he decided to do that. If Schwarzenegger can do it, he sure as could.
Well, all I can say is it's good to see Schwarzenegger back in the movies again. I just saw The Expendables 2, and that was amazing. That was great. Have you ever met Arnold Schwarzenegger, Manu?
I have. I auditioned for that movie, The Sixth Day, where he had he had his clone, and I was one of the bad guy assassins that dies in the parking garage in that film, and I made it all the way up to reading for him and the director. The only story I have from that interview is I was a young actor at that point, and just I went overkill. I went, first of all, when he came in, he was grabbing some cookies off the tray that was sitting out front, and I was kind of nervous because I was young, and there's Schwarzenegger, and I go, oh, hey man, what kind of cookies are those? Are they oatmeal raisin or something? He turned to me and he goes, chocolate.
So much for the Schwarzenegger diet.
Yeah. And then when I went into the room and read for him, I climbed. It was a death scene, so there's a bunch of executives sitting around the table, the director and Arnold. And in my bright idea, I climbed up onto the business table and died in the middle of the table instead of just reading from the chair. And I think I freaked all these guys out, so I didn't get the part. And then Arnold afterwards, we start talking, and he goes, Manu Intiraymi, what kind of name is that? And I go, well, what kind of name is Schwarzenegger, man? And so that was it.
And then he went home and cried.
Yeah, the meeting didn't go very well.
I have an answer to that.
At least he can go, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
We'll Sargent.
I have an answer for Mr. Schwarzenegger. Manu means firstborn of a new kind or lawgiver. I think that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff Ferguson, Professor Wikipedia.
And Schwarzenegger means black plowman. I'm serious. That's what I mean.
I think that's true because Schwarz means black.
Yep, it's a black plowman, like a laborer in the fields is a Schwarzenegger.
All right. Well, you know what? I forgot to do this to myself for mispronouncing your name a second time. So, so I don't pronounce your last.
Schwarzenegger did it.
Right.
Now, these ones didn't get it right neither. You're in good company, Jeff.
Yeah. Manu, so I don't mispronounce your last name the first time. How do you pronounce your last name?
Intiraymi.
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 Yeah.
And now that is from the Incas, right?
Intiraymi. Yeah, it's the Incan. I'm not Incan. I'm Irish. My parents are just huge hippies and gave me my own last name.
You don't see many Incans these days.
No. It's always funny for new casting directors that see me, though. It's kind of been a problem throughout my career because my agent will call a new casting director and be like, you've got to see Manu Intiraymi for this white 28-year-old. And they're like, we're not casting an Indian. We're not, no, it's Manu Intiraymi. He's just a white kid. You got to see him. So they never expect me to look like what I sound like.
Yeah. And your voice,
and then I got to tell you a funny story too. One time, somebody stole my phone card and charged like $1,800 on it to phone calls to India, and I tried to fight it. So I called the company and I was like, "Look, I didn't make any phone calls to India. I don't know anyone in India." And they were like, "Yeah, right, Manu Intiraymi." Sure you don't.
Like, no, I'm a white guy. I actually Icheb.
Yeah. I still owe that money, according to them.
Wow, that stinks, man. I wouldn't pay it.
No,
I would say no way.
Yeah, again, this is where the magic pants come in really handy.
Yeah.
I could use them. I actually have all the magic pants from the movie. I have like 5 pairs of them, so I'm doing good.
Were you able to keep at least one of them?
With magic pants.
Would I ever what?
Was that you, Ian? Did you ask a question? Because I asked, did you get to actually keep one of the pairs of those magic jeans for nostalgia, or did they just keep all the props?
I actually took all of them.
No kidding. Now, what about the Icheb? What about
Did
the
you get
Icheb,
paid in pants to do the movie? Did you get paid in dungarees?
I got paid. Yeah, I got paid in unlimited blue jeans.
That's what they do in the Indies.
Yeah.
Now, did you hate the Icheb sweater that you first had to wear? I mean, or did you like it? What was your feelings on the clothes you had to wear? You know, because I thought you would look really cool in leather or something, man. You know, something really cool.
I didn't so much mind the Icheb wardrobe. I thought it was all right. The one thing I didn't like was when I was a Borg. The idea was that I wasn't fully maturated, so the costume designer decided to make me full Borg everywhere except for my right leg up to the crotch, and I just had a skinny white leg. And if you
an arm.
And if yeah, an arm. And if you look at that, you know, I demanded that they at least give me pantyhose because I've got these horrible white Irish legs. And
You're
I just
expecting
so
a good pair of Indian legs.
Yeah, they were. I felt like, you know, I didn't feel like you got that whole costume on, and I wanted to feel strong and Borg and robot-like, and then I had to keep looking at my dorky leg walking around. So in every shot, I tried to hide that as much as possible. But you can see.
So that was, of course, the episode Collective, right? Your very first episode called Collective?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. I just watched that today with my daughter and my son. They love it. My daughter says, my daughter wants to say hi real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Her name is Ariel. She's beautiful. And she saw you today in the episode Collective. So say hello to Manu. Say hi, Manu.
Hi, Manu.
Hi, Ariel. That's a beautiful name.
I love you in Collective.
Thank you so much. Have you seen some of the other ones where I'm not so green?
Child's Play.
Have you seen any of the Icheb episodes?
Child's Play, with my dad and my mom. Wait. It's about Icheb's parents.
Yeah, Child's Play. Cool. I'm glad you've seen some other stuff. And thank you.
Okay. I love you. I watch it all.
Oh, she's nervous. I'm sorry about that. But
Ariel, you
all
don't
right.
get your name right.
You did. Yeah, she got your name right. Yeah.
She's smart as a whip.
She's just a chip off the old block. She's really sweet. Anyway, we'll be watching the rest of the 6th and 7th seasons of Voyager with all your episodes on there. And I wanted to know, as long as we're talking about Voyager now, of course I have all kinds of questions. I didn't want to bore you at first with this.
If we're going to Voyage, though, I hate to just believe just for a moment, but I'm afraid I got to beam down right now. I got a special secret Jeff Trek mission. I got to go solve the crisis on Clitoris somewhere. So I got to beam out now, Big Daddy.
Where do you want to beam down?
To Clitoris, of course. Right at the G spot.
Right, the G spot?
Yeah, if you can find it. If you can find it.
Okay, I'm going to beam you down to the G spot right now. Is this in L.A.? I got to set the proper coordinates, or is this in Boston?
I don't think anybody really knows where the G spot is. Ask Dr. Stefan Grafenberg, or whatever his name was.
Oh God, my ex-wife. You know. Yeah, my ex-wife knew I found that G spot, and she's keeping it a big secret because, you know, I'm the big mistake. But anyway, let me beam you down, and thank you for joining us once more.
Wonderful, Jeff. Goodbye, Manu. Goodbye, Ian. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night,
All
Mr.
right.
Goodnight.
Live long and prosper, that is.
I'm telling you guys, he is just one of my best friends ever, and he is sharp as a tack. I mean, he knows he could have been working for NASA. You know, that guy is just super intelligent. We haven't even scratched the surface with him. Yeah, he's great. Let's talk a little bit about Star Trek Voyager, because there is, and by the way, before we even get into that, there is a young lady, very charming young lady from Germany, who wanted me to pass on a message to you because it's too late. It's past her bedtime.
All right.
And yeah, she's a cutie. You know, she's a 16-year-old girl who is totally in love with you. Her name is Michelle Parada. Does that ring a bell?
Michelle Parada?
Yeah, Michelle Parada.
You've got things a little messed up, I think. Michelle Parada is a friend of mine and also the actress in Benjamin Troubles, and she's Latin and certainly not from Germany.
It's not Michelle Parada. It's a different Michelle. I'm sorry, I got my Michelles mixed up. I'm doing just wonderful with people's names here. It's Michelle. I'm sorry, Michelle Berard. Excuse me, she's going to be listening to the archive. Michelle Berard, I am so sorry. I got you mixed up. Hey, but if I'm going to get you mixed up with someone, how about, you know, a co-actor in a really cool movie like Ben Troubles?
Why not? Well,
yeah,
I don't
but
know if you can pass it back on, but Michelle is a little sweetheart. I've met that girl at FedCon, a convention that is in Cologne, Germany, that a friend of mine, Dirk, runs, and she's fun. So nice to hear it.
I bet Cologne, Germany smells good too. You know.
It does.
I bet. Hey Michelle, we know you're listening to the archives, and you told all your friends. She wanted to pass on this message to you. Oh, I love you, Manu. Oh, I love you so much, Big Smokey. Although I'm sure she'll do it.
Is that real? That's the message, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the message.
Let's
she wanted to give you Smoochie.
Tell her thank you very much. Smoochie back.
Yeah.
Smoochie back. That's it.
And okay, and Michelle, Smoochie back at you. Wow. Guys, getting it on. No, she's actually a sweetheart. She's a young girl who loves Star Trek. She obviously loves you, Manu. So I'm sure she'll be seeing everything that you do in the movie.
Yeah, she's a cool girl. Actually, we're friends on Facebook. I know exactly who you're talking about. So that's very, very sweet of her.
Well, sweet dreams of her. She's sleeping right now like a baby. So back to Star Trek Voyager. That was one of my favorite shows. Now, people ask me all the time, Manu, what is my favorite Star Trek series? And I keep telling them, I can't choose between my babies. Oh, my God. Manu, I love Star Trek so much that I just can't get enough of it. There's not one episode that I can't watch again and again and again. Not one series I can pick over the others. Because there's reasons why I love certain series, and they're strong. And Voyager, though, if I had to, if someone put a gun to my head and say, hey, what was your at least your favorite theme song, I would think it would have to be Voyager's. And I think that, yeah. So,
I just said, okay, Voyager's the best song.
Yeah, it is definitely the best intro song. And as far as your character, Icheb, you must have felt a little bit like Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher, because you were like a a young guy on a starship. Did you feel that kind of connection? Do you know Will Wheaton? You must have seen him at the conventions and stuff.
Well, I've met Will a couple times since I got off the show. I didn't know him beforehand, and the characters are not very similar. But I've heard that before. That I was the Will Wheaton of Voyager.
Just because you're young. No.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Will's a great guy. I know him and his wife, and they're both awesome people. But I actually haven't seen I'd seen all the films, the Star Trek films, but I haven't seen a whole lot of the Star Trek: The Next Generation series. I've caught episodes here and there. Kind of the same thing with all the series, and I don't think I could choose a best series either. Although the episodes that I've seen of Deep Space Nine were really, really well written, and I think that series had the best crew of acting talent. I think that
absolutely.
The actors on that show were just incredibly good. And of course I enjoyed Voyager, and we were pretty damn good too. But I could kick out Enterprise. No offense to anybody on the show, but I tried to get into Enterprise because I felt it was my duty as a Star Trek alum to watch the next show, and I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
So I heard that.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you to get into it. I know Ian has a question for you. Hold on, Ian, just 1 second. I was going to ask you, as you were doing Voyager, and you probably found out through the grapevine that Enterprise was coming out. Did you get your agent to try to get you a spot on Enterprise, at least as a guest?
Well, actually, back when I was doing Voyager, we were hearing all sorts of stuff through the grapevine, and I heard that the next idea for the show was possibly a show called Academy, and that they were going to do a show about, a school and, the away missions from the school and blah, 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 and you can have characters from different series working at the school. There's all sorts of possibilities, and a lot of the people on the crew kept hinting to me that a contract was coming my way for that show. Didn't happen, and that's all right, but that's really all I had heard. I didn't hear that Enterprise was the other idea.
All right. Definitely on that thought. Now, once Enterprise did come out, it did run for 4 years. Did you try to get a part, or were you not interested, or what was the deal there?
No, I'm always interested. I mean, I guess back then, I was 21, and these days I would have made friends with the showrunner, and I would have made closer connections with the top dogs over there, and kept in contact. But at the time, I was just kind of a spoiled kid, so I didn't have the ability afterwards to make those phone calls to try to come back. But of course, I'd always be interested. Trek is an amazing show, and anytime anybody that's producing, I'd love to be on the new one. If ABC or CBS or whoever owns it gets around to it, I think Brannon and Rick Berman probably still own a piece. I'd love to audition and play a different role or the same role, whatever. How could you say no to going to work on a spaceship every day?
Nah, I can actually see that right now. Just get your character from Fortress and make him captain of a starship with its own still.
Charlie was pretty gritty, wasn't he?
I like Charlie. It reminded me of quite a few people that I've known on and off. I'm of Irish descent as well. My most of my family actually go from Dublin, and my father was the only one out of 13 other siblings. I was actually born here in England. All my aunts and uncles on my father's side are all from Dublin, so I've met quite a few characters.
So you burn in the sun in 5 minutes too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have horrible...
I'm so Irish, that I have to hide from the sunshine. I actually was thinking about bears the other day, and bears they eat a bunch of food and then they hibernate through the winter, and I thought that was so genius. I needed to figure out I'm going to be the first human. I dedicated it. Next year, I'm going to get fat and sleep through the summer so I don't have to see the sun.
Genius.
I did notice that Icheb didn't have any sunspots, and then I see you in this movie, and you had a lot of sunspots. You had a lot of freckles and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, I don't know if they.
Yeah. They covered them up quite a bit in Star Trek, but they let me go in Fortress.
Big Cuz in the chat room wants to know if you had to wear one shoe and one boot, which I don't know what that means.
Say that again. If I had to wear what?
I think at Icheb, he's trying to ask you if you had to wear one shoe and one boot. I just wanted to say that Big Cuz is a great guy. He's a big Star Trek fan. Cuz, you're going to have to get back in the chat room, and he's in the chat room, but give us another statement. Let's find out what you're trying to ask there. As far as Fortress is concerned, I love that character, Charlie. I loved it that you were like, now you were a medic in that, right?
A what?
Were you a medic? Were you like the plane's medic? I noticed that you were attending
He was the medic, and he was the what's it called? The radio operator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. So anyway, he's also the bartender. Obviously, he was in charge of making the moonshine, right?
Yeah, and in charge of distilling the hooch for the rest of the crew.
That is so awesome.
I actually know where there's a local still near where I am that does Pasheen. So which is kind of like Irish. It's like surgical bloody spirit. It's lethal, but I actually know somebody who lives around here where I am. Who actually sort of like distills and flogs it in big bottles, and so it's lethal stuff.
Yeah, that's we're Irish. We're born with alcohol in our blood. But I had a real joy playing Charlie because I'm a little older these days, but I still have this young face, and finally it was the first time in my life that I got to play like a man. Mm-hmm. I'd been playing a lot of boys and 25-year-olds, 28-year-old kids, and blah blah blah, and it was the first time I got to look a little filthy and get a beard going and get my hair scraggly and play a soldier. So that was, I don't know, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I thought it was quite fun from the point of view of someone, because I've only really seen you in Voyager. I kind of skipped One Tree Hill, and I kind of remember you I even remember you in Pearl Harbor waving your arms around screaming P-41s, P-41s. But it's kind of funny seeing you because Icheb was kind of like a very well mannered, very well behaved young boy, and then we have Charlie, who's sort of like the complete opposite. I thought, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, I think my personality is a lot more like Charlie's. It sort of stuns folks at conventions, at least in the early years, because I've got a dirty mouth too. I'm like, any of you guys ever talk to Jerry Doyle?
Yeah, I interviewed Jerry Doyle not so long ago.
I kind of have his attitude. We share a lot of the same attitude on vocabulary. A lot of four-letter words come out of my mouth. So when I get up on stage and people are expecting to meet Icheb, they're in for quite a shock half the time.
Yeah, so they're pretty fucking surprised, huh?
Say again?
They're pretty fucking surprised, eh?
Yeah, they are.
Fucking it.
Yeah.
And actually, there's stuff all over. On the internet, I get people have complained and just dissed. Like, I thought I was going to go, and he's just the worst person, and blah blah blah. And I think it's because they expect this. In a certain sense, some folks expect to see the character they saw on TV, and I'm not Icheb.
Oh, hey! I think your phone's cutting in and out. You may have to plug it in or something. Is your battery going dead? I hope not, because I still have the questions.
Am I still going in and out?
Yes. Oh, I could hear you say that. Yeah. But Anyway, I want to say hello to Zeke in the chat room and Big Cuz again. I don't know what he was trying to ask about that shoe and boot, but I did ask him in the chat room to go over that. Who cares anyway? We are talking about Fortress, and my favorite scene was when there was two scenes that I liked. The one where I found out that he was making the moonshine and that he was the crew's bartender, and then when it blew up during an attack, he was forced to steal 7 bottles of Scotch whiskey from the officers' lounge or something like that, and he got caught. And his character's his character's commanding officer actually came to his rescue. And at this point, the crew were just realizing how important that Charlie was, because at first they didn't respect him, and I guess this is a way of, he could earn their respect. So he stole this whiskey, and so this commanding officer came in, and actually I'm not talking about the Charlie's character. I guess the whole crew was trying to gain respect for the lead character,
pilot.
right?
Yeah,
the new pilot. But he came to the rescue of the guy everybody loved in the crew, and he stole the booze, he got caught, he was about to get court-martialed, and then he said they needed these bottles as solvent to fix the plane so they can get up there and finish their mission, and they got away with it. And that was my favorite part of the movie, and I could see your mischievous part of your character as Manu, as well as Charlie's character. I'm like, this is the perfect role for Manu, anyway,
that was definitely my kind of scene. That scene was cute too. I thought that scene was great. And I got to work with John Laughlin. Was the guy that played the old man, the leader of the base. And just the undertones of that scene are pretty funny. I was happy with that work. And also, just working with him made my Kevin Bacon number 2, so that was pretty exciting. Because John Laughlin worked with Kevin Bacon in Footloose, so my Kevin Bacon number's now right up there.
Yeah, another film they've remade recently, Footloose, huh?
Yeah. I didn't see the remake.
Yeah, neither did I. I'm scared.
Yeah, I don't think I want to either.
I've not bothered either.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah, what was it like working with director Mike Phillips on that Fortress film?
Mike Phillips is awesome, man. I'm hoping to work with him again. Sharp as a tack. Knows his details inside and out. They used all real. All the props were actually authentic World War II stuff. The parachutes, the outfits, the stuff we wore in the air, the canteens, all of it. Just this whole crew of people were really good. It was produced by the team that did Dogfights and some of those History Channel shows like Patton 360. And Mike Phillips used to work for the makeup artist way back in the day on the Star Trek. We didn't know each other then, but he's making a new movie called Night Flyers, which is a World War II film that he's raising money for, and I'm hoping to work with him again on that one. This one's about fighter pilots and not B-17s.
I've noticed something actually. I've noticed something that I noticed that Fortress, it's only really come out in America this year, right?
Yeah, it took until just a couple of months ago for it finally to get released here.
Yeah, well, I've actually had it for about the last 2 years on DVD.
Yeah, it came out in Australia, and it came out in the theaters in Germany and England and France, like way, way before it ever got here. I don't understand why they did that, but that's how it went.
Yeah,
and in England, they actually re-released it. They released it once, and then it was off the shelves, and then a year later they released it again. I don't know how those distribution companies work, but
yeah. Well, I got a first edition copy because I remember you was actually on Roger Noriega's show a couple of years ago, and I was on that. He was talking about Fortress, and a few months later, I sort of seen it come out on DVD, and I thought, oh, that's a film. I'll pick that up because I'm kind of into World War II, movies based in the Second World War. Especially about flyers and bomber pilots and aviators. I love
the
stuff
cool
like that.
thing about Fortress, the cool thing about Fortress is everything that happens in the air in that film is all based on actual stuff that happened. Is all taken straight from actual reports of fighting. So, the stuff on the ground and the crew and all that stuff is fiction. But anytime the battle and any battles in the sky that took place, that's how they went down.
Yeah. Now, is it true? That there were like a whole squadron of these B-2s that were up there, and back then that was new technology, and they were constantly running into mechanical problems, and the mechanics were constantly under so much pressure to get these things fixed in an air shape, my question is like I guess I'm under the impression that only two planes made all 24 missions over Italy, and one of them was the plane that. Now, what was the name of the plane called Fortress? Is that why they named the movie Fortress?
No, but the B-17 plane was referred to as the Flying Fortress. So that's.
Oh, okay, okay. What was the name of the plane, first of all? Because I have another question.
The name of the plane was the Lucky Lass.
The Lucky Lass, that's right. Mm-hmm. The Lucky Lass, and the Lucky Lass, because an Irish plane, she has discriminating taste, the commander said, and then he asked for a bottle of the whiskey. No, but my question is, there was a lot of planes that didn't complete all their missions. Only 2 planes completed their mission. Was it the Lucky Lass and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, the Memphis Belle? Because I don't know if the Memphis Belle was on that. Yeah.
I don't know the accuracy of either of those. I don't know if the Lucky Lass was actually a real plane. I don't know if the Memphis Belle was either. And I know
the Memphis Belle was real.
It was, okay.
Yeah,
and I know that the Lucky Lass certainly didn't make it because you saw it go down at the end of that movie.
Could have been the last mission.
It could have been, but it wouldn't have made it, would it? Oh, okay, I guess it would have. It dropped its bombs, etc. But yeah, I don't know. I know that not a whole lot of those planes did make all the missions, and it was.
I think it was supposed to be 24. I think it was supposed to be 24 missions that they did. Ian, you may be able to clear this up. I know you wanted to say something about that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jeff. I think it was 24 missions.
And only two of those B-17 bombers completed all 24 missions because they were getting shot down by all the German 109s. And I'm surprised they didn't have a scene with you after Pearl Harbor, so that where you're shouting inside the West, you're like, "Oh, German 109! German 109!"
Dude, that would have been historically incorrect because it was Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Because he's in the water.
It was an incredible experience, though. I mean, they built they built an entire plane, an entire replica inside of what the B-17 looked like, and they even had a lot of the parts were authentic parts. And I think there's only 2 of those planes in existence that still fly. I know when Memphis Belle was made, there were 7 of them. But I don't think there's a whole lot. I think there's just 2 that are still airworthy. But incredible aircraft. As many as went down. These things were capable of losing 3 engines and landing gear and getting shot up and still running on fumes. And there was actually a report of this one plane that its tail was like almost hanging off, and it took like 8 crew to like hold the tail on the plane. And this thing still made it back. There's all these incredible stories, and you can see the plane. If you just look up some, just Google B-17s in World War II, and you'll see all this incredible stuff about just how these things could fly incredibly damaged. you know.
Did you fly? Did you fly in a B-17? Like, it wasn't like Top Gun or anything. You didn't get into a real B-17, right?
I wish, you know. I wish.
Wow.
You know, Night Flyers and stuff. This new movie that he's making too about these, you know, how awesome would that be? Speaking of Doyle, I was just talking to him the other day, and that lucky guy, man, he's got to get a little bit of time in those F-15s, and what an amazing rush that would be.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point out some of the great actors that shared that opportunity with you. The Bug Hall, Donnie, Jeff Coate, and by the way, the last name Jeff Coate has a real awesome ring to it. and Sean McGowan's Archie. You know what I mean? That was just I watched that and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the acting was great, and it should have been a huge box office blockbuster. I'm sure it did well in whatever, you know, at whatever level it was at, because and it's still making money. It didn't go right to DVD.
It did really well. It was in theaters in Germany, and I don't know. I think there was maybe another European territory that it came out in theaters. It actually came out in 3D in theaters in Germany.
That's awesome. Germany is awesome. They are a huge support for not just Star Trek, but for really good stuff. That's just,
and it's funny that they love the World War II films. You know, they love them.
And they're the bad guys. Well,
I know. That's what cracks me up. But like, any World War II film, they love watching it. They're huge fans.
Yeah. Well, that was great. I really enjoyed that movie. And one last thing about Fortress, I really loved the beginning and all the scenes they showed the tail of the planes as they were flying through in a huge fleet, and then it looked so real. And just the gunners underneath, you know, and everything, and the way they're shooting backwards. I mean, it was like Star Wars of World War II. It was just really. It didn't. I don't think that movie got enough exposure. And I read somewhere on IMDb that the budget was like a mere $200,000. That's got to be crap. That can't be true.
Well, it is.
Did they have
here's the way they pulled it off. Is the team that made it were also the guys that did the CGI. So basically, a team of 4 to 6 CGI guys worked for almost 3 years to put all those CGI shots in themselves. Whereas normally you'd pay $5,000 to $7,000 a shot for each one of those special effects shots. These guys knew how to do it, so they did it themselves, and that's how they saved all that money.
Wow. So this came out in 2012. So you're talking 11, 10. You started production in about 2009 or something?
Yeah, I think we shot late 2009.
Wow. And yeah.
It was quite a feat that they accomplished. Also, all the desert camp, was actually just a farm. We were in like the middle of this guy's farm where he kept his horses. They just built a bunch of tents, and then they put green screen all the way around, and drew in the desert. So I don't know. I think the movie has like 1,800 special effects shots compared to 500 shots without special effects. And normally movies like that, that might even be a record. I don't know. I know Star Wars was loaded with that stuff. But normally I don't like movies like that because I don't much like CGI. But I thought Fortress did a really good job of the CGI work.
Well, you need that to describe what's on paper, right?
Say again?
You need that to describe what's on paper. I mean, CGI, this is not Star Wars futuristic fantasy stuff. You have to recreate. It's almost impossible to recreate some of these amazing air battles. Like, there's some maneuvers that could never be made again. It's like that movie Red Tails. It's like there's maneuvers that were made that can never be made again, and things that happen.
same guys. The guy that did the special effects for Red Tails is the same guy that did Fortress.
Cool.
Ian, do you have any last questions on Fortress? Because I need to skip to a couple other things too. I got so many questions I haven't gotten to yet.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head for Fortress, to be honest. Right. Just move on, Jeff. I think.
All right.
All right. Well, we talked a lot of. We didn't get too deep into One Tree Hill. I don't know if there's too much to say about that. I know that you want to talk about it, but you also said you wanted to talk a little bit about Pieces. What is that? I couldn't find any reference to that.
Well, I'm pretty excited about it. I just formed the company to produce Pieces. Pieces is a thriller about 7 kids that hike into the mountains to celebrate a wedding reception, and they run into someone shooting at them, hunting them with a long-range rifle, and they have to get 30 miles back to their car from the middle of the deep forest. And it's, we've seen that type of movie before. It's not like a new thing, but when I read the script, it's just such a good script, and it's not your typical, one by one everybody dies and then the girl gets away, or the guy and the girl get away. Not a whole lot of people die, and it's more about this crew of kids and their history and how they band together to outsmart and get away from this horrible situation. And we've raised a quarter of the budget, and we're looking to raise the rest. We're looking to shoot in February of next year, and so far it's starring me. We're going out to a lot of name actors. There's a this isn't, nobody's locked, but there's a possibility that Eric Roberts might play a role. Nick Stahl might play a role. I'm trying to get my buddy Shane West to do it. He's real busy, but we're gonna make an amazing little film. And it's by the director Marcin Tiorato, who just directed a movie called Closure that was at Sundance last year. And that's Pieces. And also, we're doing a kind of a cool thing with. I've been painting with my girlfriend for the last few years.
There we go.
And we started a company called FBA Collective. If you go to FBAcollective.com, or if you go to FBA Collective on Facebook, all the prints that we're selling of my artwork or original pieces, if people want to buy those too, all the funds are going to go to raising that movie. And I'm doing kind of an interesting thing where if you buy an original piece, I'm going to put a special thank you in the credits on the end of the film. So it's already been, some Star Trek fan base from different conventions. I've been given $10,000 here, $10,000 there. Fans have invested, so it's going to be kind of cool that movie and another film that I'm working on called The Fifth Passenger, which is a sci-fi film, will be.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. What's the name of that? Pacific what?
The Fifth Passenger. This is also something you won't see it on IMDb yet, but most likely that's going to be me, Ethan Phillips, Tim Russ, and we haven't found the lead girl yet. We're looking to go for somebody big, But these are, I just started dipping my toe into the producing game with Benjamin Troubles, and so those are the films that are coming next. And it's going to be kind of neat.
Do you have a name? What? Oh, I'm so sorry. Because of the delay, I keep cutting you off. But
that's all right.
Do you have what is the name of your production company?
Kartoffel Films.
Okay. And is there a website for that people can go to, our listeners?
There isn't yet. The LLC was formed a month ago. We started raising money for Pieces 2 months before that, and we're already a quarter of the way to the budget. So people have been very generous, and it's really exciting to have the support out there for these projects. So I'm pretty happy about it. Wow. And Kartoffel, I don't know why we went with Kartoffel, because we're weird guys. Kartoffel means potato in German. It's also a game of skill where you connect a bunch of little dots together without drawing over the line. Right now we're designing the logo that comes up before the film, and it's like a line that like jigs and jags and goes from potato to potato over to this little potato wearing a superhero cape holding a movie camera, and he goes, movies!
How do you spell that? That's hilarious. How do you spell that production company
Kartoffel
name?
Films, LLC. It's Kartofel Films, LLC.
Beautiful. Well, I wish you all the luck with that, because I produce a local access TV show, which is, it's all volunteer. I got a lot of the local comedians joining in with me, it's going through some changes right now. I want to start doing some stories instead of just doing like a late night format and joking around and stuff. But I did want to get you on Jeff TV at some point as it's evolving, and it's going to be more of a production company, more so than an actual TV show as it evolves. So I look at you and I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do. I look at Manu and man, I have so much admiration for you, and I've got like 8 years on you, and I'm like your elder. So
well, thank you, brother. I mean, it's a heavy workload, man. But if you got the passion for it, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I'll do exactly whatever I can do, and I wanted to jump back really quick to Voyager, because my favorite Voyager episode, I have two of them, well, technically three. My favorite Voyager episodes were the last ones, like the last two, like when they get home, call me sentimental, I don't care. But if I had to pick another one, other than that, Manu, I would pick Q2. I love that episode.
Q2 was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was with now Keegan Delancey played, who was the son of John Delancey, who played Q. He played the young Q. He played his son. What was it? I want to ask you what was it like? But did you stay friends with him after that? Have you seen him at conventions? Have you acted with him other than that episode? Or
Keegan stopped acting from what I know. I haven't seen him in a long time, but pretty much all the actors on Star Trek end up getting to know one another even on the separate shows from the different conventions that we do every year. So we're all buddies, or at least acquaintances, and we all get along, and we might not see each other for a year or two or three, but when we reconnect, we hang out. And I saw Keegan for maybe a year afterwards at a few different shows, one in Blackpool, England, and he's an awesome kid. But I think what he's doing now is he's a diplomat. I think he's a foreign diplomat for I don't know what, but super genius, doing a hardcore government job is what he's done.
Is he like really smart? Is he like egghead smart?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It fits him because he's a Q. But that was definitely one of my favorite episodes, and it must be one of yours too, because people go around, because Q, the Q, the son of Q and Q, they're very sarcastic, and they like to mispronounce people's names. Like he calls Catherine Katie, and so the whole thing about calling people by the wrong name is funny, and I did that a couple times myself today. But he liked to call you Itchy, and you said that he can do that as long as he doesn't do that in front of the executive officers, or what do you call it, the senior officers.
Yeah.
So people call you what? People call you Itchy, and they also call you what? Borg?
I get Itchy and I get Borg Boy quite a bit because, I don't know, maybe some people forget Icheb or something. But quite a lot of times at the convention, I'll be walking down the hall and somebody will go, hey, Borg Boy.
That is such a funny name, Borg. I got to do something with that. Ian, have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard Borg before? Icheb?
No, I just saw Borg Boy. Is that Swedish?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bjorn Borg's personal Borg Boy. There you go.
Oh, I just had an amazing thought, Manu. You should get your own line of women's, underwear, and call it Borg. You can't call it Borg because there's already a Borg thing. But wow, I think. Oh no, wait a second. No, you have a serious girlfriend that's doing artwork, right?
Say that again.
Okay, well, you don't want to make your girlfriend jealous, is what I'm trying to say.
No,
but
in fact, she designs underwear, so this could work out. She actually had a company called Sugar Speak and had poetry on panties. So maybe she could design the Borg panties.
Tell her to do a Borg.
If there's a market for Borg panties, we'll get them made.
Yeah, tell her to get a whole new line of some kind of really sexy thong underwear, with the Borg, theme and with your face on it. I don't know. That would be really cool. But I actually
think that would work. Truthfully,
Well, be sure to make sure your face is actually on the rear end side of the underwear.
Yeah. Hey, if anyone out there wants to make those, I'd love it there.
Hey, Manu, did you get a chance to see any of the artwork that I posted today on Facebook?
Artwork?
Yes, I'm an artist. And
did you
the
post it
entire
on my
sense of
page?
the word. I posted on your face, yes.
Oh.
No pun intended.
On my page, you mean?
Yes, your Facebook page. Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, all right, I'm looking at it right now. That's gnarly.
Yeah.
That's good work.
Yeah,
that's pen and ink, right?
Yeah, this pen and ink. I did a stipple of Indiana Jones where I did first I did a penciled drawing of him in Temple of Doom, very lightly. And then I took an ink pen and I just, like a real ink pen, not just a regular pen with ink, just an ink pen.
Uh-huh.
And I did a dot. And it took me forever, and I didn't even finish it, but I like it unfinished. And it was beautiful, and I did some really far-out M.C. Escher type of drawings where you see these weird things flying through space. I'm sure you'll be able to see that. And it was
I'm looking at and the pyramid.
Yeah.
The ship going through warp speed is pretty wild.
Yeah, man. If you look closely at it, if you can zoom in, there's all kinds of detail inside every little crevice. And I love your artwork too. And I thought that, and by the way, that was one of my most favorite episodes of Jeff TV, where I was able to show almost all my old artwork. And because I did that, it was preserved for all time now. They say when you start a TV show like in local access that you should just do everything that's you and make it a part of you, and show you to everybody. So when I showed my artwork, I almost cried afterwards because I did so many good pieces of artwork that never got seen. And it got seen not only in a TV episode, but with comedians joking about it. It was really cool. I'll send you a link once I get it remastered. So, but I love your artwork too. And can you give? Hey, Ian, are we going to extend this episode? We're going to go into overtime.
I'm not going to be able to log in time and do it because I'm actually not logged into Blog Talk Radio right now.
Oh, so this is going to end real soon, huh?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, well, I just want to thank you. Let's talk again, Manu, and especially on Facebook, especially about art, because I love your artwork, and if you want to really quickly say goodnight, I am holding up my Vulcan peace sign with my hands and extending the courtesy of saying, live long and prosper.
All right, thanks for having me, Jeff. And Ian, nice talking to you, man.
Yeah,
onward.
Great speaking to you too.
All
right. I'm going to beam you guys out. Here we go.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.